Are you ready to add some curves to your next quilting project? Stick around and we'll give you some great ideas. Welcome to Handi Quilter Watch and Learn. I'm Kim Sandberg and
I'm Kristina Whitney.
And we are really excited today to show you some great ways to add some curved elements to quilting projects that you have in the future. And we're going to do these with rulers. So Kristina, let's talk about these rulers we have here.
Okay, well let's just show our viewers some of the different curve rulers that Handi Quilter has. This isn't all of them, but this is just a sampling of them.
Concave Curve.
Like I can't see what it is, so you get to tell us what that one is.
It's the Concave Curves roller, and it's cool because it's got actually it has 3 different curves because there's a curve on each side and down here on the bottom.
Yep, and then the straight on the top, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Next, we have our set of curved crosshatch rulers. This is fun. It's two different sizes of kind of the same ruler, but a little bit of a different curve on each on each side.
And that's something you'll notice. A lot of these are in sets. They're the same ruler, just different sizes because the arc is going to be different.
Exactly.
And we'll play with that in a minute. So which one is that?
So this is the curvy ruler set, and there's 2. Once again, there's 2, and it does have curves on both sides of the ruler and then straight on the 2 sides. So it's a pretty versatile set of rulers that you can do a lot of different fun things with. Next, we have the set of slice. I'm like slice of pie, almost, not quite.
If it's a slice of pie, I get the largest size. I get slice 3.
I want the largest one. I'm there with you on that one. This one's fun because there's 3 different sizes here, and it does have a straight edge down here. It's like a section of a circle on those. And then we have the Crescent ruler set. This is our last one that we have. And this one is very versatile too. You've got a lot of different sizes here, once again, and they are with a lot of great markings on them to help you be able to get a better, create the designs you want to on your quilt.
And this one is very similar to our previous Arc A set that we had. So if you've already got that one, this will do the same thing.
Yeah. Yep. Good ideas to go along with that.
Okay, and again, that's just some of the arc rulers. For today, we're going to focus mostly on playing with the curved crosshatch as well as the slice set. We're just going to show how to use these different curves in your quilting.
And the ideas you're going to talk about, you could really do with any one of these sets of rulers. These are just the 2 that she happened to grab to do some demoing with.
These are some of my favorite ones, personally. But
some of your go-to rulers, right?
Yes, yes, exactly.
Perfect.
Okay, so some of the things that we have to think about when we are getting ready to do some curved stitching is how big of an arc do we want it? How deep do we want that to go? So if we look at this quilt behind us here, we're going to look at this section right in here. So this is a curved crosshatch, and we're going to be playing with some of that. But you can see like the distance between the seam line and the stitch line, trying to get that to the right depth that you want. That's one of the reasons why you need to pick the size that you're going to use.
Right. Okay.
So let's go down here and we are going to play with our slice rulers.
Okay. Once again, those come in a set of 3.
Yep. So slice 1, slice 2, and slice 3.
I like it.
So previously we had slice 1 and slice 2. Slice 3 is the newest member of the slice family.
I like it. I like it.
Okay, so right here I've got a 9 patch that I have already just stenciled onto the fabric.
Okay.
And we're going to stitch each of these different rulers so we can see the difference between them.
Okay, and you're going to do what we like to call a continuous curve pattern, right?
Eventually.
Eventually.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm just going to pull up my bobbin thread here. Okay, do you want me to start with 1, 2, or 3?
Let's start at the bottom and work our way up. So let's start with 1.
Okay, so I've already got my needle in place, and then I'm going to do a curve along here to this point. So I'm going to find the center of my ruler, lining it up kind of with the center of that space I'm stitching in. And then I need to adjust this ruler so that I've got 1/4 of an inch from where I'm aiming for to the actual ruler itself.
Right.
I don't want to line the ruler up on that point, otherwise my stitching will be off.
Exactly, you'll be 1/4 inch away, won't you?
So I'm going to go ahead and stitch this across. Okay, so that is the depth for arc 1,
Okay,
or slice
slice
1.
1.
And I'm going to bring in slice 2. Now, here's one of the tricky things that a lot of people freak out about. They see me holding this ruler here, and I don't know if you can get a shot from the back, maybe.
Well, let's get like here so you can
Get up
see
really
that.
nice and close and personal. See how my ruler is like right on that seam line?
Yep.
People see that and they freak out that there's not going to be any stitching.
Right.
So
But,
you've got that 1/4 inch.
exactly.
So go ahead and stitch this one.
And then when you move the ruler away, we can see the
So it's
difference
a
in the
little bit
depth.
away.
Yeah. You can see that this one is shallower. It's not. It's closer to the seam line.
Yep.
Yep.
And this one's going to be almost right on the seam line just because of the shape of that arc. And that's why it's important that you choose the right ruler for the right job. Okay.
Yeah, you can really see the difference there in those 3. It flattens out as it goes across.
Correct. So it just depends on what the look is that you're going for. So for me personally, I would probably choose this one here, or maybe even one that's going to do a little bit deeper.
Okay.
Just, you know, depending on the look that I'm going for. So I'm going to bring this over here, and we're going to stitch up the side. And then I'm going to hold it in the back so that I can do the top here.
Gotcha.
Again, lining up the center and then watching that 1/4 inch. Let's go ahead and catch these sides while we're here.
Okay. And now you're doing that continuous curve stitch pattern, aren't you?
This is a continuous curve. And this is great because it can fit in squares, it fits in triangles. This is one of my go-to designs, and you can do it any size.
It's a classic quilt design for a reason.
Yes. Let's do 2 more sides and we'll call this one good. Let's get rid of these threads. Okay, so that's one application for using these curve rulers. And again, picking the right tool for the job.
For the look you're going for on your quilt.
Correct.
The amount of curve you want to be sure and have on that quilt.
Yep. Okay, so lots of tools,
Yeah.
picking the right one. So another use that I've done for these curved rulers is kind of a stitch in the ditch. Now, when I think of stitch in the ditch, I always think straight lines.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Because that's
But
the majority of. But I recently did a double wedding ring and I wanted to do stitch in the ditch and it was on a curve.
Right.
So what I did was I just auditioned a whole bunch of these different arc rulers and found the one that was the closest to the shape of the piecing.
perfect.
It wasn't exactly perfect,
Yeah.
but as you can watch in this following video, you can move that ruler just a tiny bit and make those adjustments to make it fit what you need.
Perfect. Perfect.
So that was using the curved crosshatch ruler. I want to show you another fun thing that we can do with the curved crosshatch.
Okay.
So we are going to do curved crosshatch.
I love that. Let's use what the ruler's actually named
No
after.
idea.
And curved, I love stitching curved cross-hatching on a quilt because it's like it creates dimension and movement. It's a fun design to stitch out, isn't it?
It is, yep.
Yeah.
We're going to do some curved crosshatch just in this square
Okay.
right here.
Okay.
And there's different ways that you can do this. I'll just show you one way. So let's bring up that bobbin thread. So something that's really important with doing rulers is that you pay attention to which way you're going to be moving the ruler
Okay.
so that you can use those markings.
Okay.
So if I were to stitch right here, I can move the ruler over and move my way across.
Right.
If I started over here though, I wouldn't be able to move my ruler backwards and use the markings on here.
Ah.
So I'm going to start on this side.
A little planning ahead goes a long ways here, doesn't it?
Exactly, yeah, yeah. And I am more comfortable holding my ruler on my left-hand side than on the right-hand side. But with most quilting, you're going to be holding it in all different positions.
Right.
Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing I did with this continuous curve, except that I'm going to come down, and I'm just going to travel up my seam line, and then I'm going to shift the ruler up so that my first edge line, the center point is matching up with my stitched line.
Gotcha. So you put that line right on top of where you just stitched. Okay.
Yep. And I'm focusing on the center point because the edge lines and the seam line might not line up by the time you get out here.
Okay.
So that's the part that I focus on the most to try to be as consistent as possible.
Okay.
Okay, so I overshot a little bit, so I'm just going to bump that back, and I'm going to stitch up and along here. And again, I'm going to travel up, shifting that ruler, finding that center point.
And you could always mark that center point if you wanted to not just eyeball it.
Yeah. So why don't we just do this? I'm going to take our Handi pencil, and I'm just going to draw a line on there.
I love that.
And while I've got the Handi pencil here, I'm just going to draw one the other way for in the future here.
Okay. When you're going the other way. I like it.
So we're in position there. And this is where I start singing random songs.
Kristina's soundtrack. Her soundtrack for quilting.
And something else with this curved crosshatch is that you can do it with whatever spacing. Right now I'm doing like about a ½ an inch. So I could get just a tiny bit along there and maybe a tiny bit along here, but that's about it.
Okay.
Okay, so I filled in that space.
There we go.
And again, if you wanted it to be curvier, you would just use a different size arc.
Okay.
Okay, now I'm going to go up. So I'm lining this up with the bottom.
This is when the magic happens.
I'm going to travel up, adjust the ruler position, and again I'm using that line that I just marked on there. So where could you use this design in a quilt?
I'm trying to think of places I've used it. I've used it in like the center of like wreath designs, like to fill in a circle because it creates a really cool effect. When you do that, it almost creates like a 3D effect.
I'm not even going to do that one because it's right at the top.
It looks so good. Look at that.
So let's pull this machine out of the way here.
Yeah.
And you could do this large scale, you could do small scale. Maybe we can even throw in a couple pictures here to show that design inside of quilts.
Some different places that we've used it on projects.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a great design. It's really fun to use. Like I said, it creates movement. It can, if you do it in the right way, it almost can create like a 3D effect, which I think is really fun to play with. It's a great design.
Yeah, and you notice I worked from the left to the right and from the bottom to the top.
Okay.
What if you rotated it a different direction? You can create like optical illusions with this.
Exactly, exactly. I think of like maze type quilts, things like that. It can, things are coming out at you and receding and there's lots of fun things you can do with it.
So just to recap.
Yeah.
Curved rulers. There's lots of them out there. Find the one that's going to fit what you're aiming for. Maybe play around with them a little bit ahead of time. Try out these different designs. And also look at the back of the packaging.
Yes.
So all of the packages have different design ideas on them as well with things that you can do.
Yeah.
But I always encourage people to come up with your own ideas.
Absolutely.
Find what is going to fit your particular quilt.
And don't be afraid to take the rulers and even use them just to do some sketching on paper, just to come up with some ideas. There's nothing wrong with, you know, doing a little doodling there. See what you can come up with.
I'm going to throw a little tip in there since you mentioned that.
Yeah, go for it.
So if you take your ruler and you are going to doodle on paper, just remember that if you draw right on the edge of the ruler, it's not going to be the exact same as when you stitch it out because of that 1/4 inch.
Right.
So some people will get little spacers that they can put their pencil in that creates that, like, the illusion of the foot and draw around there if you want to get exact measurements.
Yep.
But if you're just playing around, just go for it.
Just have some fun. It's a great way to do it. Well, thanks for joining us today. Be sure to give us a like and subscribe, and have fun quilting.